Climate change is real, and it's here. And we're at a crossroads. So this book says, The Future We Choose, by Christiana Figueres and from Rivett-Carnac. And it's from 2020, even though it's 5 years old, I still think it holds many valuable lessons about how to attack climate change and how we can make a difference as an individual. It also has 10 various actions that we can do to make this difference, and I'll get to those in a little bit. One of the key ideas from the book is that we are in front of two different futures. We have one future where we just keep going as we've done so far, emitting everything we've done so far, and one where we stop our emissions and keep them below 1.5 degrees as per the Paris Agreement. In the first one, the one where we just keep going, we'll have to wear masks due to the air quality. People from all the coastal areas, many of them will have to move inland because they become inhabitable. And the coral reefs will all be dead. And people in general will move to the less affected areas, the cold areas, and that will create refugee problems and lots of civil unrest. So we don't want that. However, it is 5 years old, the book, and I think we have made progress since then. So I don't think the bad scenario is possible anymore. We've already made some progress, but we're still not there yet, and I think we've also missed 1.5 target. So neither of those two scenarios will come true, but I think it exists on a spectrum, and we want to limit the damages by climate change. And in order to get the best possible outcome, we have to get 3 different mindsets. So, and they proposed them in the book. And the first one is stubborn optimism. That in order to be optimistic, first we have to recognize the bad news. We have to recognize that the climate change is real. It can bring disasters to the world, and then second, we must see that it's possible to create a different future from that. And then we must, from there on, try to focus on the good news. So not try to get too down by all the bad news about climate change, but try to focus on all the progress we are making. The second mindset is one of endless abundance. And we're still going to need a healthy competitive edge to create all this technology that are going to address climate change. And we have this belief that the world is a zero-sum game, and that can lead to a perception of scarcity in resources where it's not true. For the resources that's actually scarce, we need to embrace a collaborative mindset, and we need to collaborate to distribute them in the best possible way. Here it's also important that we don't start to point fingers at each other, because developed countries such as Europe, myself, and the United States, Canada, we have historically emitted a lot and have a responsibility for that. And we're also now starting to emit less, and all the countries have peaked. Whereas many developing countries, they're still increasing their emissions because fossil fuels are still the cheapest way to power their growth and make their society rich and provide all the basic needs to get out of poverty. And I don't think we should point fingers at each other. We just need to make sure that the best way for the poor countries developing countries going forward is to select green solutions. And then the third mindset is one of radical regeneration. The Earth has reached a point, some places, where it can't regenerate by itself. And in those places, we need to help it. And we need to have a plan, and we need to do it with intention, and we need to execute it well at a large scale. And then going forward, we need to reconsider our actions so they're more aligned with nature and living in sync with the nature. Now, let's get to the 10 actions we can take. The first one is to let go of the old world. We're at this place for a reason, and that's because the way we've been living for the past 100, 150, 200 years, it's not sustainable. And we need to let go of that, and we need to embrace a new way of living, a more sustainable way of living. The second action is that we need to face our grief and hold a vision for the future. So we need to realize that some people are feeling very, very bad about climate change and how it will affect us, but we also need to, we should accept that, but we also need to have a vision and know that it can be better and imagine a future where it's not happening. The third one is to defend the truth. Mostly climate change is accepted now. There are a few people who still deny it, but mostly it's accepted. But still a lot of misinformation out there about the current situation, climate change, and it's hard to navigate in. So we have to be great at defending the truth and the actual things that we know that science tells us. The fourth one is to see yourself as a citizen, not as a consumer. So instead of just consuming clothes, electronics, etc., we don't have to get the newest laptop, the newest phone, seasonal clothes for every season there is. We must be more mindful about how we're living and know that we're a citizen and not necessarily just a consumer. And the fifth one is to move beyond fossil fuels. I mentioned it a bit with developing countries, but we need to go past it. We're going to need a lot of energy in the future. In general, the richer a country is, the more energy it consumes. So we need to make sure we create more and more energy as we get richer, but we need to do it in a sustainable way, meaning no more fossil fuels. Action 6 is to reforest the earth. Forests, like trees, do a lot of good things for our world. They foster a lot of biodiversity. They help contain CO2 from the atmosphere, so we should do that. 7, invest in a clean economy. A bit like beyond fossil fuels, but yeah, we need to just keep making progress on all the sustainable technologies like solar power, wind power, hydropower, and nuclear power, etc. And then we need to use technology responsibly. A lot of the new technology is consuming a lot of energy. For example, AI. Every time you do a query to ChatGPT or etc., it creates it takes a lot more energy than a Google search, for instance. So we have to be mindful of exactly how we use it. I'm not saying we shouldn't use it, but be mindful and just don't use it mindlessly. And action 9 is to build gender equality. Studies, they say studies have shown that companies and countries with women in important positions and decision-making positions are in general greener and transitioning more to the sustainable world. So they propose gender equality as a focus point. And then the last one is to engage in politics. We need to vote for the politicians who want to make a difference and want to challenge it. There are multiple ways to do it, so vote for whoever you think is right. And then we need to, just be active, make your voice heard on social media, etc., and just get engaged. So all in all, I think this is a good book about climate change. It is one of the most pressing challenges we're facing these years, and it's important to be informed about it. Unfortunately, this also means there are a lot of populisms and extreme views on both sides of the political spectrum, and I don't think either is useful for solving it. Um, I think we need to be grounded in science and technology, uh, and those are the two things we're going to solve climate change. We can change our habits, but I think it will be gradual. Of course, we're changing. We're also living differently now than we did in the 50s or the 100 years ago. That's good. Society has always been changing, and we need to do that. But sustainable living is I think, more driven by the younger generations than the older generations, and that's the way it should be. The 63-year-old man who loves steaks and eats it daily, he's not going to change, and we shouldn't force him. We should make him do it himself. We can make it more expensive using carbon tax or stuff like that. But in the end, he has to make a choice that I don't want to eat meat anymore. So yes, that's a little walkthrough of this book. As I said, it was a good book. I think if you need a introduction to climate change, it can definitely be a way into it. And then until next time.